Hello, my name is Anastasiya Fiadotava. I'm a junior research fellow at the Estonian Literary Museum, and today I would like to talk to you about one of the parts of my PhD thesis, namely about sharing humor online in family communication. I would like to start with a few words about this study, just to give you some context. This study stemmed from my interest in this highly popular form of communication. As researchers' findings indicate, a lot of people now engage in online humor sharing, and as such, this activity penetrates even in the sphere that is characterized by a high reliance on offline sharing, mainly on family communication. This study was conducted in my home country, in Belarus. I have done some fieldwork among Belarusian families, and this fieldwork was divided into two stages. During the first stage, I have conducted 60 interviews with Belarusian families, asking them about the kinds of humor they prefer, their attitudes about humor, and also about the ways and topics of online humor that they share. However, I have quickly discovered that it is very difficult for people to come up with particular examples of online humor that they share during an oral interview. And so I conducted the second stage of my fieldwork. I have made an online survey and sent it to many of the same people that I've talked to offline, but also to many other Belarusians. And I have received 175 replies where people shared humorous items they share online, as long as their reflections on the practices of online sharing of humor and a lot of other interesting aspects of online sharing of humor. Even though my study was conducted in a specific country among particular people, I believe that the conclusions that I've made and that I'll share with you in the moment are generalizable to other countries and settings. This belief stems from the fact that a lot of patterns and content that people share online are now globalized and are not particular to any specific country, but are shared worldwide. And therefore, the conclusions that I've made might be applicable to your countries as well. In order to give you an impression of what I have done, in this presentation, I will answer 5 main questions. Firstly, we will talk about with whom the humor is shared. Then I will proceed on talking about how humor is shared. Then I will reply to the question, what is shared? And finally, and most interestingly, I will elaborate on why humor is shared and why it is shared online. So, let's begin. With whom is humor shared online? As the replies of my survey participants indicate, mostly the humor is shared with partners or spouses. More than 60% of people chose this option while replying to this question. Then come siblings, brothers, sisters, followed by parents and children. These family member groups indicate that humor is more likely to be shared within a single generation, which is true for partners, spouses, and siblings, but also, and probably even more importantly, that humor is more likely to be shared within nuclear family rather than with the members of the extended family, uncles, aunts, grandparents and grandchildren, nieces, nephew, and other more distant relatives. This means that humor is shared online mostly with the same family members with whom it is shared offline. You have face-to-face interactions with your spouses and children and siblings on a daily basis, and you also share humor with them almost on a daily basis too. Let's proceed and elaborate on how humor is shared. Many of the people I've asked about it said that they prefer instant messenger apps and private messages. Among instant messenger apps, we can name such applications as WhatsApp, Viber, Skype, and similar software. And private messages were mainly shared within such popular social media platforms as Facebook, ВКонтакте, which is a Russian-speaking analog of Facebook, and similar social media outlets. Public sharing in the form of reposts, for example, wasn't common for people to share humor within their family. Only 8.6% of people whom I asked indicate that they actually do use public sharing to communicate humorous messages to their family members. There are also hybrid forms of sharing. Online humor that was found on the web can be retold orally, face-to-face, or shown on the screen to the family members. Imagine yourself finding a funny video online, and instead of posting the link to the video to your family WhatsApp group, just calling your family to come to you and showing this video on your screen, and hopefully sharing a laugh with them. Thus, we can see that online sharing of humor is mostly done in private, same as face-to-face sharing, and that there are hybrid forms of sharing when face-to-face sharing is actually combined with online sharing in many different ways. And here comes probably the most interesting part. What do we share? Mostly, people prefer to share images, memes, and image macros that they found on the web. A little side note about the terminology. By image macros, I mean images accompanied with text. The text is usually pasted on top of the images, either in the beginning or in the end, top or the bottom, or both of these options may be available at the same time. And the humorous effect normally stems from the combination of the image and the accompanying text. Meme is a wider category, but in this particular case, I'm also talking about visual memes. So those that are built on some pictures or images. Next popular group would be videos and also canned jokes. By canned jokes, I mean jokes with a punchline at the end. And the group that was not that popular in online sharing within a family are personal photos, self-made videos, and other forms of humor that were customly created to be shared with family members. This brief overview indicates that visual and generic forms of humor are more popular than textual and custom-made ones in the family humorous communication. Why do we share humor with our family at all? Well, I think all of you have your own reasons for it, but just to name the most common trends. One of the things we do while we share humor with our family members is we often refer to our shared family experiences. For example, imagine one of your cousins failing a driving test and you come across a funny meme that targets a person who has recently failed a driving test. You are very much likely to share this meme with your cousin just to refer to this experience that he or she has just had. In many cases, though, there is no direct connection to family experience or shared family histories, and people just share humor to entertain their family members. However, even in this case, humorous items are not selected randomly. They are rather based on shared family taste for certain humorous topics and genres. For example, if family members know that they both enjoy humor based on wordplay, they're most likely to share wordplay jokes in their online humorous interactions. And then sometimes you would also share humor not to make a person laugh, but rather to educate or to convey some serious message. For example, one of my respondents mentioned that she shared a funny, over-the-top, exaggerated piece of fake news with her family members, not to make them laugh, but rather to show how dangerous fake news can actually be, and to warn them against believing everything that they read on the web. Similarly, you can share humorous items to lift the spirits of your family members, to provoke some serious thinking, and other reasons that are not directly humorous. So by sharing humor online, you can have very not humorous things. And now we know why we share humor, but why do we choose to share it online? Well, one obvious reason is that some content is too specific to retell. I have already mentioned that it is really difficult to describe your favorite image macro or your favorite humorous video using just verbal means, using just words that you can use in your face-to-face interactions with your family members. So it is much easier and it is much more likely to provoke humor if you just post this link to the video or this image macro to your family WhatsApp group. However, there is another important feature of online humorous communication that contributes to its popularity. You can share humor with your family members even if you are away from each other. For example, one of you is working, the other is at home. The person who is at home finds some humorous content that she or he might already forget by the time the person who's at work gets back home. So this homestaying family member sends a link or the picture or whatever to their family member who is working, just to create this shared experience. However, there are not only spatial but also temporal peculiarities of sharing humor online. Unlike face-to-face communication that requires immediate response, online communication is asynchronous. You might find an interesting image, send it online to your family members, and then it will take them a couple of minutes or hours or even days to reply. This means that they don't feel this constraint to reply immediately. They have more time to come up with a funny reply or even with a humorous item of their own. This actually means that the specific features of internet environment have an impact on family humorous communication and often determine why we prefer online sharing rather than face-to-face sharing in our family interactions. And I would like to conclude with a couple of thoughts and take-home messages that stem from my research. One of the things that you have already probably noticed is that online sharing of humor parallels face-to-face sharing in many ways. You're mostly likely to share humor with the same family members that you interact offline. You're also sharing humor with them online. You're using the same topics and content that is present in your face-to-face interactions. You're relying on shared tastes, both in face-to-face and online sharing of humor, and so on and so forth. Sharing humor online thus reinforces family connections. Being able to communicate humorous messages across time and space means that you stay connected with your family members, even if they're not together with you at the moment, or they're not engaged in a common activity with you at the moment. And a lot of my interviews mentioned that sharing humor online contributes to their family interactions and makes them feel connected and makes them feel bonded to their family members. Finally, it is important to mention that online sharing of humor in the family depends on the family communication environment and cannot be studied in isolation. Family humor that you share online depends on a high extent on the family humor that you share offline, as I have already mentioned, but it also depends on the general attitudes towards online communication in your family. For example, if it is not common in your family to use electronic devices to other purposes than work, then of course humorous communication online will be practically non-existent in your family. However, if on the contrary you're a fan of gadgets and you use them all the time, then it is likely that you and your family members would actively use online humorous communication. As we have seen, online communication and face-to-face communication interweave in a number of different ways, and thus they do not have to be viewed as two opposites, but should rather be viewed as a continuum and studied together along with the general aspects of family communication. This is what I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any further questions, please contact me via email that you can see in the little box in the right bottom corner. I will be happy to elaborate on anything that are unclear or not elaborated enough in this presentation. So stay well and see you. Bye.